So Marvel's Spider-Man brought the web slinger back into the video game spotlight, and a sequel would have the potential to try something new. Now Marvel's Spider-Man is one of the greatest video game success stories of the last few years. After a history of lackluster games featuring Spider-Man, Insomniac gave life to Spider-Man with a solid gameplay and a gripping story. After the end of Marvel's Spider-Man, it set up a huge sequel, and of course with Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales expanding the story of a fan favorite character, all eyes are now on Insomniac for details on a Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And it's also pretty clear that the character developers care a lot more about the character and the mythos around him, and there's one thing that the sequel could do to show that love even more. One of the biggest strengths of Marvel's Spider-Man was the game's villains. Players got to see new takes on hallmark characters like Rhino and Doc Ock, and their appearances made for some excellent boss battles. The game's also gave a spotlight to some more obscure characters like Tombstone and Screwball, and this willingness to include characters that aren't as universally known opens up a lot of different possibilities. Now with how expansive Spider-Man's rogue gallery is, Insomniac could dive deeper into his lore and bring in villains that pay homage to the rich history of everyone's favorite character. Now of course at number 1 we have the Chameleon. Now if Insomniac really wanted to reach far into Spider-Man's mythos for Marvel Spider-Man 2, it could go all the way back to his very first villain. The Chameleon is a master of disguise, able to impersonate practically any person, and he even stole the identity of the Rule Crawler in one of his first appearances. Although he is Spider-Man's very first villain, the character hasn't been shown much attention in the video game world. Marvel Spider-Man 2 could do something similar to the comics, introducing Chameleon as a Spider-Man impersonator that's trying to disgrace his good name. For number 2 we have Jackal. Oftentimes Spider-Man villains share some personal connection to Peter Parker in one way or another. Putting Jackal in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 could play into this dynamic, as he was once a professor at Peter's college, Empire State University. The character isn't particularly well known on his own. In fact, I had to do a bit of research before creating this video because I had no clue, but he's responsible for one of the most infamous Spider-Man storylines in history, Clone Saga. Marvel Spider-Man 2 could adapt these comics in one way or another, introducing Jackal and Peter's clone, Ben Reilly. And last but not least, we have Hydro Man. Now sometimes heroes are indirectly responsible for the creation of their own villains. One of the most famous examples of this is with Batman and the Joker, but the same happened with Spider-Man in the past. Now during one of Spider-Man's battles, Morris Bench was knocked off the ship while he was working on and into an experimental underwater generator. This granted him water manipulation powers, turning him into Hydro Man, and he vowed revenge on the web slinger. His inclusion in the game could be a deep cut for Spider-Man fans and give Insomniac an opportunity to show off the PS5's water graphic capabilities. Spider-Man is one of Marvel's most popular heroes, and it's for a good reason. The character has a charm to him that is almost second to none, and his assortment of villains ensures that Peter Parker has a steady stream of conflict to keep things interesting. Marvel Spider-Man has already introduced a number of his legendary villains, but there have been so many through his long comic book history that there's plenty of potential to be added in the sequel. Now of course Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales have actually started adding more villains such as a Tinkerer, so adding more into the mainline game doesn't seem that too far-fetched. As we know, of course the main villain will be Harry Osborn and of course the Venom symbiote, but then you know, let's add a bit more in, let's add a bit more action, and that is what I want to see. So guys and girls, if you have enjoyed this video, I am running a giveaway for Spider-Man Miles Morales on on PS4 and PS5, as well as Marvel Spider-Man and all the DLC. As well as that, I'll be giving away a game of your choice at the end of each month as a sort of thank you for getting me to 10,000 subscribers. Now all you have to do to get in with a chance to win is make sure you're subscribed to the channel, like the video, and comment down below what Spider-Man villain you want to see in the next game. That's it, that is all. Now guys and girls, I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, like it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.